I'm Chris,
And I'm Kiley. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation. All right, welcome back.
Well, welcome. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about how to be more effective with communication. And the primary tool that I leverage to do this is the DISC model. DISC.
Okay.
Correct. DISC.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into DISC today. It's just going to be like a quick little crash course overview. And Chris, do you want to share a little bit about the history of DISC and where this methodology came from?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. I'm just toting through it here. It was created by a gentleman named William Moulton Marston, early 20th century. Marston introduced the concept in his book, written in 1928, first off, which I think is fascinating, Emotions of Normal People. It's where he introduced the theory for four primary emotions: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, i.e. DISC. Yeah.
So those four primary emotions are the words that represent the D, I, S, and C on the model. And let me first preface this by saying I don't use DISC as a self-development tool. I use DISC as a collaboration and communication tool. So this helps me very quickly figure out generally how somebody operates and makes decisions and communicates so that I can adapt to be more aligned with their style.
So it's how you preface the coaching. Like how you understand how to communicate to the person.
Yes, it's how I adapt basically to each person that I'm working with.
Okay.
Now, one thing that is also important to note with DISC is we have each of these four emotions in us, but some of them are, one or two of them may be higher volume than the others. Or you may have one that's really turned up and three that are muted. Or in some rare cases, we've got chameleons who are like equal parts on DISC and fall somewhere in the middle on all four of these. So the model itself, if you can imagine quadrants, you'll typically see the DISC model, and you can Google this, it'll pop right up. The DISC model is in four different quadrants. So I think it's really helpful to understand how each one of these styles operates, because you've heard of the golden rule, right?
Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes. It's very like old school vernacular.
That would be the biblical version that I learned as a child.
So most people would say treat people the way you want to be treated,
Yes.
right?
Unto others.
Yes. I don't think anybody's using that preposition for God knows how long. Probably since the Bible was created.
Yes. The Southern Baptist version of.
So the platinum rule, have you heard of the platinum rule?
Be a boss like you? No, I have not.
That's not it.
That's the platinum rule I live by.
Yeah.
Try to be as close to Kiley as possible. Physically and emotionally.
It's for your own good. No, the platinum rule is treat people the way they want to be treated.
I see what you did there. A little spin.
Uh-huh.
I like it. I like it.
Because I think it's really important to remind everybody that just because we operate in a specific way does not mean everybody else operates like we do.
Shocking.
I truly thought everybody was ADHD and thought like I did.
For a long time, I did the same.
Yeah. And then I realized, like, oh, I think way different than a lot of people.
I still get kind of bitch slapped by reality occasionally. I think, oh, this guy's just like me.
No.
No, he's not. He's
No.
very, very different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we have to remember that just because, we like the person doesn't mean that they're necessarily operating in the same way we do. Yeah, we may have some things in common, but, how I prefer communication to be done might be very different from how you prefer communication. Oddly enough, we're the exact same on DISC, which I think makes things very easy. We can stay in our natural comfort zones and communicate very organically with each other without having to adapt our styles because we are the same style.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yeah. All right. So let's first start with D, which is dominance. So this personality, high D, really is focused on results, goals, taking action, challenging themselves and others. They're definitely motivated by power or authority, competition, winning, success, goals. Their biggest fears, if you had to guess, what would you guess?
The biggest fear for a high D, be out of control.
Yes. Loss of control.
Yeah.
First one listed. Being taken advantage of is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially being vulnerable.
Yeah, they all correlate with loss of control.
Exactly. So the big thing you have to remember with D's is they like control, dominance. You think about it. Dominance is control. You'll notice that they're probably high in confidence. You may think egotistical, but again, like each of these personality styles can show up in a really positive, impactful way. And then when these characteristics are taken too far, each one has a dark side.
Mm-hmm.
You'll also notice that they're very direct, straight to the point. They may be a little bit forceful or authoritative or commanding, and they're usually pretty okay with risk. They are the risk takers. They will gamble. No risk, no reward is very much the mindset. Now, where they may have some weaknesses, there could be a lack of concern for others. There could be a level of impatience or insensitivity or a lack of empathy. Okay, so if you had to think of some famous celebrities who have a dominant personality, high D, who would you guess? Give me 3.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan, and Sylvester Stallone.
Do they all have to be 80s action heroes?
Well, that's all the shit I watch. Those immediately come to mind in specific movies. And tell you what, Rocky 3 has both of them. 2 of the 3.
Whoa.
Yes.
You don't get bonus points for that.
Do you get bonus points for knowing Hulk Hogan's character name in that movie?
No.
Thunderlips. You're welcome.
Thunderlips?
Thunderlips, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great flick.
Yeah, I'd probably say all 3 of those. Can you name any outside of 80s action heroes?
Donald Trump.
Yes, absolutely.
My father. It's a high D.
He's not famous, but
He's famous to me.
he's famous in Kentucky.
He is. And
At his
in the Air
church.
Force.
Yeah.
He's famous.
True. Yep.
You name some. Stuck on 80s action flicks, aren't you?
Well, no, you took all mine.
Oh, sorry.
This is usually my go-to.
Yeah, he's a universal high D.
He's the most obvious, I think. So the other thing you can do with D's, because sometimes it might be hard to remember the letters, I also associate them with birds. So there's another model of disc that incorporates birds. And the bird for high D's, if you had to guess.
Oh, an eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah, all day.
Exactly. And when you think about eagles, they're, the predator of the bird world. They are usually flying solo, right? You never see an eagle flying in a pack.
No, they don't. They don't travel in packs, I don't think.
No, they like to be independent.
Yeah.
Just like our Heidi's. And then they also, if you think about like the eagle in American history, what does it symbolize?
No, pure freedom, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So they like to have freedom. They like autonomy and control.
Yeah.
So that's our friend, the Heidi. All right. So moving on. Any questions with the Heidis?
Probably easily mistaken for an egotistical person. So
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
CEO types, C-suite,
Yep.
head of businesses. Yeah, that makes sense.
So typically if I'm like stereotyping the CEO, potentially odds are good that it's a D personality. Now, I will say that does not mean that other profiles can't be successful CEOs. A lot of sales professionals are Ds as well. And you think about it, their personality organically makes them well suited for these types of roles. That doesn't mean that a CEO has to be a D. It means that it's more likely.
Well, it's easier to fit that personality type into the expectations of the position.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That makes sense.
Now, next up is our influence I, which if you had to guess what bird.
This one did not come naturally to me.
Okay.
Like, this is an awkward one. It makes more sense after you explain what I is.
Yeah.
But so just explain what it is, and then we'll say the bird, because
Okay.
then it just makes more sense. Because
Okay.
when you hear it up front, you're like, what the fuck is that?
Okay.
So, okay.
All right. So our eyes, it stands for influence. Our eyes are enthusiastic, have a lot of energy. They like to take action. They definitely are enthusiastic, encouraging. They like collaboration, very social, animated, lively. They are motivated by social recognition. So you put them center of attention, they will thrive. They like group activities. They are very friendly. They care a lot about relationships. Fears, if you had to guess.
Being alone.
Yes. Our great friend Darcy is a beautiful example of high I.
Yes.
And we were out to dinner and she was like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. Don't tell your story until I get back. And then her partner was like, she gets FOMO if she misses out. And as soon as she got back to the table, Darcy was like, oh my God, you didn't go on without me. I get FOMO. Beautifully expressed I.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yes. So social rejection or disapproval or being left out, FOMO, or loss of influence. Like if they aren't included in things and they don't feel like their voice is being heard and they can't contribute.
Yeah.
You'll notice they're very charming, enthusiastic, social, optimistic, and talkative. They may struggle with impulsiveness. Pun intended, they might be a little flighty.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
They may lack some follow through, and they might be a little bit disorganized.
Hence the impulsiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those three things tend to go hand in hand.
Well, if you think about it, it's not like impulsive rage or anything like that. They just are easily excitable. So a lot of times they like to just go where they're excited to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get an idea and then they pursue the idea and then they get bored with it.
I would view that as somebody like in a startup company, like the imagination guy or gal, the one that's like, we're going to solve all the world's problems with this new copy machine.
Yes.
You know, like nobody get excited about it, but this guy is, you know.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah. So, okay, now, what kind of bird does this sound like?
Parrot.
Yeah.
Bright, colorful, fun, repeats what you say.
Yes.
Wants to be part of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Very social.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Famous I's you can think of.
Other than you?
I'm a combo.
Yes. Famous eyes.
But you're right. My primary is I. I'm high in another letter too, but
Would Jim Carrey be an eye?
absolutely. Comedians are definitely a sweet spot for the eyes.
Okay. Yeah, Tom Segura, all those other guys. Okay, that makes sense. Anybody I've worked with in the business development world. Most people I work with in the business development world.
There's a lot of salespeople that are I's and D's, and I'm seeing more and more S's in sales, but definitely the I's tend to be very much drawn to sales positions because it allows them to exercise their desire to be around people.
Yeah.
Ellen is another one.
All I can think about is comedians now.
I know. Yeah. All right. Our S's. S stands for steadiness. So these folks enjoy giving support. Very supportive. They like to maintain stability. They also enjoy collaboration. They are motivated by stable environments. They also like sincere appreciation in private, not public. Our parrots or influence, they like public recognition.
Yeah, because they like the public.
Yep. Our essays prefer private appreciation. They also are motivated by cooperation, collaboration, and any kind of opportunity to help. They want to be helpful. So when you think about like this stereotypical role inside of an organization, this could be like the executive assistant to the CEO or the receptionist or even HR a lot of times. Fears of an S would be, if you had to guess, what?
Public speaking.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What else?
Being left out, I think, would be a fear, would it not? Since they like to be social, but not, or involved, but not in charge, I guess, or totally social.
I would think of it more as conflict. They don't like conflict. They're very afraid of conflict because they value harmony and stability.
Okay, that makes
right?
sense.
Their fears truly are loss of stability, change, right? Change brings instability and uncertainty. Loss of harmony, which would be conflict, or offending others.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. You will notice they're usually pretty patient. They're definitely team players. They generally take a very calm approach. Everybody else could be running around with their hair on fire and they're like, all right, let me go get the extinguisher. They're great listeners. And they have a lot of humility. Their weaknesses could be they might be overly accommodating or agreeable, which some people might say a doormat, right? You get walked all over or taken advantage of. They are change avoidant. So if there is change coming, they're going to want to press the brake pedal.
Yep.
And they might be a little bit indecisive. Again, because they don't want change. So if you're pushing them to make a change happen, they might be indecisive.
Well, also, if they're wanting to avoid conflict, change tends to go hand in hand with conflict.
Yep.
So
exactly. Now, if you had to guess, a bird.
That's an easy one. That's a dove.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never thought a dove was useful in any manner. It was just like a pretty bird, you know? Like, oh, it's a dove.
Well, actually, our S's are very useful.
No, I mean, just like bird-wise. Like, that one I could not see, like, pecking your eyes out.
No.
An eagle would come get you.
Oh, yeah.
A parrot's going to talk to you like crazy, and a dove is just, Well, it's just a nice bird, man.
Yeah.
It does bird stuff,
Well, and what does it symbolize?
Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the universal bird or universal animal for peace.
Yeah, exactly. So you think about the S's as the doves. They care about peace and tranquility and harmony. And
So your yoga instructors would probably be a dove?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
Can you think of some famous doves? I have a hard time with this one because they are not boisterous or overly overt with their personality. I think they are probably the most difficult ones to recognize out in the wild. They have very nurturing personalities, very giving. Can you think of a famous dead princess?
Diana.
Yes.
Okay. No, I mean, well, who else?
Mother Teresa, Gandhi,
Buddha.
Jesus.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People who just give selflessly are generally S's. A lot of nurses, too, that go into that field naturally are aligned with this personality.
Makes sense.
Now, again, I'm making like very broad generalizations. Not every nurse is an S.
No. I think the only way to understand this disc is to understand that these are generalizations.
Yes.
And they're combos of.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. All right. Now, our last one is a C. And this is conscientious, which I think it's an okay word. But I think of C's more as calculated. That word for me just sticks a little bit stronger. So think of it as conscientious or calculated. They care a whole lot about accuracy. Things have to be correct. They like maintaining stability as well as our doves. They also challenge. They challenge assumptions. They challenge beliefs. They challenge things if they don't seem factual. They are motivated by opportunities to leverage their expertise or knowledge. They like learning. They have a high attention to quality. And if you had to imagine what their fears are, what would you guess? If they need to be right.
Yeah, being wrong would be terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest one.
I was just thinking, like, if to be right all the time is a certain level of control. So being out of control would probably be a little terrifying for them, or feeling like they're out of control at minimum with the data. They just don't know where they are in space and time, or being lost.
Yes.
Would be very scary.
Yeah. So they don't like criticism, because essentially it's like feedback that they're wrong. They don't like impulsive decisions, right? Because there's a high risk of being wrong, and being wrong in general. They just don't like being wrong. Accuracy is very important. You may notice they're very precise, analytical, skeptical, questioning, reserved, or quiet. And they probably ask a lot of questions. Now, their weaknesses could be being overly critical. They might overanalyze, overthink, and potentially have a tendency to isolate themselves.
Well, yeah, if you're trying to control your variables.
Well,
If everything's a math equation, you're going to try to control as much as you can, and people are the great uncontrollable variable. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yep, exactly.
I've worked for a few of these guys.
Oh, yeah. Very methodical. They're very methodical. Like, there's going to be systems and processes for just about everything.
I see myself in that a lot, though, or that in myself. I love processes, and they make me feel very comfortable.
We'll come back to that. Let's come back to that, actually. Yeah. Guess what bird?
Well, that's an owl.
Yes.
Yes. As you can tell, I have children. It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Yeah, the owl. Yeah, a wedged bear in a great tightness. In a word, irremovable. I loved that cartoon. That was great.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're owls. If you think about an owl always asks, who?
Yeah.
Who? Questioning, skeptical. They like the information. They want data. They want research. They need to know why, who, and all the information. Right? Famous owls, famous C's.
Would Elon Musk be a C?
Yeah, for sure.
Albert Einstein?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much anybody in the scientific realm, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Bill
really
Gates
cool.
is another one that people usually mention.
Yeah. He's definitely one.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So going back to, so you're an I.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are both IDs.
Yes, I see that.
Yep. So parrot eagle, mostly, well, higher parrot, equally high eagle, almost for me.
I don't know if you want to go into this yet, but the most fascinating part about this is the situational differences in groupings of these letters. Like in certain circumstances, I see myself as a much higher D
Yes.
than I.
Yes.
And then in other situations, I'm 100% I and
Yes.
0 D.
Yes.
Like anytime business development rolls around, I mean, my face hurts when we leave because I'm smiling the whole time.
Oh yeah, you're total I.
And I am not worried at all about controlling anything.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want it to just happen in front of me, man, and
Yeah.
then just hang out.
Yeah.
But other circumstances, like work, I'm very controlled. I want to control it my way, and it's sometimes very hard to to give up the control.
Yeah.
So
Same. Yeah. I'm the exact same way.
Yes, I can tell when you slip into it.
Yeah.
And I know when I do, I think I have to apologize.
No, you'll say, I'm in the middle of something right now. And that's it. Like, that's all you'll say when you clearly are in D mode and don't want to be talked to. And I do the same thing. Like, you'll come in and I'll just say, you'll be like, oh, did you see that email I sent? No, I'm working on something else.
Okay.
Yeah. Communication is very direct. Like, don't fuck with me.
Yeah, it's good. I like
Yeah.
it. Good. There's no, it's absolutely not ambiguous.
Oh, yeah. Not at all. Not at all. Caitlin, who runs all of our behind the scenes stuff, she is outstanding. She is very much an S. And when we give her something to work on, I mean, it's like it's done lickety split. She's got processes for everything. She's probably an SC because she's very organized. She loves her spreadsheets. I mean, she is the exact opposite of us in all the ways, which is perfect because she is great at all the things we are not great at.
Yeah.
So there's some similarities that some of these characteristics share with each other. So our D's and our I's. So if you think of D's and I's, the eagles and the parrots, they're both active, fast-paced, assertive, dynamic, and bold. Right? So you and I would both fit those descriptions.
Bold for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hence the podcast and our own business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I's and S's are very accepting. They're people focused. They are great at empathy. They're receptive. And generally pretty agreeable. S's and C's, so the doves and the owls, are very thoughtful, calm, methodical. They have a slower pace, and they're very careful. They're risk averse. Now, our C's and D's, so our owls and our eagles, are questioning. They're more logic and task focused. They are objective, somewhat skeptical, and challenging. So there are some areas of overlap with these personalities. I share this because you're going to encounter people that have a combination of different tendencies. And to your earlier point, you said you really like spreadsheets and you really like processes and you have systems in place. What I've seen is evolved birds, we'll call them. So I'm a parrot eagle. When you are evolved, you recognize your strengths and limitations and also what the other birds bring to the table. And you start to become more of a chameleon because you recognize that there are strengths in having all four of these characteristics. So you probably haven't always loved processes and spreadsheets. That probably developed out of necessity at some point.
Oh, for sure.
You realize, like, hey, I'm not great at managing my time. I got to do something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Failure after failure in certain things was like, listen, I got to take control of this or I'm just going to repeat the same stupid mistakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it actually all started with the gym because when I first started lifting, I spent a lot of years just piddly farting around and I wanted some real growth. Mm-hmm. And once I started regulating things out and giving myself a timeline and structure and processes, it exploded. Yeah. I mean, within a year, it was like massive change. And I figured if I can do that with the gym, I can do it with anything.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, birthed out of necessity. That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. When I'm feeling stressed out, I mean, this just the other day, I was feeling stressed out. I made a spreadsheet of everything that's on my plate right now and organized it into categories. A parrot, wouldn't normally do that. But because that's how I organize and can compartmentalize mentally, I know that that's what de-stresses me. So we almost act like opposite birds. So the eagle is opposite of the dove and the parrot is opposite of the owl. So we tend to operate like the opposite when we're stressed out.
As a defense mechanism.
Yeah. That's why D's, when they get stressed out, they want to just be a team player. It might seem like micromanaging for a D, but they're essentially trying to tap into their dove by being a team player and getting involved because they usually generally stay very high level. So when they get stressed out, they're like, okay, I need to zoom in and I need to get more hands-on and help the team. But it could be perceived as micromanagement if you don't understand, the dynamics of how these personalities show up. And a dove, when they're stressed out, they want to take control. Like Caitlin, when we're not getting our shit done, Caitlin will be like, "Hey, I need this by this date," or she'll just do it for us.
She's spoken directly to me a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That's because you didn't do something.
Yes.
You were in trouble.
I was.
She cracked the whip.
She set me straight.
As you need.
Which was so cute when it happened. I'm like, oh, I'll do it.
Okay, for you. God love her. She keeps us sane.
She does. She's exceptional.
So, yeah, it's super interesting. When we tap into those opposite personalities and we realize, like, hey, there actually is benefit in doing this, that's when we start to evolve and we naturally want to keep doing more of those things because it's helpful.
Yeah.
So, like me the other day, when I put everything into a spreadsheet and started organizing it, it helps me stay on top of my tasks and then gives me the overview I need to start taking action. Because I really want to be taking action, but I just feel so overwhelmed. It's like I have 100 priorities. What do I do first?
Yeah. Yeah. I like the phrase evolved birds, because I think one of the most fascinating things about becoming older is watching people make the same mistake consecutively. Like, I think most of our mistakes are self-inflicted wounds, which when they first couple of times they come around are acceptable because you just don't know what you don't know. And hey, I'm presented with a new situation. Okay, cool. Lesson learned. To repeat the same lesson multiple times over and over again is really interesting to me. So I think that being evolved shows you, or searching for the answer and learning the answer and implementing the new data allows you to branch out into the other realms and see the benefit. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you just end up repeating the same problem. And I've watched people, multiple people we know personally, just continuously.
Yeah.
It's like wrapping a car around a tree and then getting another Ferrari and doing the same damn thing right away. Like, that's crazy. But if you're not paying attention to the benefit of acting like something you aren't intrinsically, like for me, it would be a spreadsheet. I don't absolutely adore spreadsheets all the time, but when I need to get something done, it's over, man. The first thing I go to is a spreadsheet. Because now I know that it's worth the day or 2 days to build it, because from then on out, I never have to revisit that problem, ever. It's solidified.
Yeah. Because you see the bigger picture and you understand how doing the small things will help you do the big things faster.
Yeah, but if I lean on my original personality, doing the small things is not a part. I have to physically make myself do it. Yeah. Like block off time. I have to make myself block off time to make myself do things. Otherwise, I will blow right past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 3 weeks later, I'm like, Mom, why didn't I get that done? So, well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I have not always been this way, and it takes a lot of awareness to get to a place where you appreciate all 4 styles and understand the value that they bring. So as you're listening to this episode, which bird do you identify as?
Please let us know. Yeah. I would love to start this dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us, how does that show up for you? What resonated with you? And what do you think would help you grow, right? Like, what characteristics of the other birds would help you right now if you could tap into some of their skill sets?
Yeah, that'd be really cool to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Do your homework.
Yeah. And if you want more information, or this was really interesting to you, there's tons of resources out there about DISC, and there's lots of different companies out there who have repurposed this model and have different variations of it. So you can find gobs of resources out there if you want to get more information and just do some more learning. And there's free assessments out there that you can use. We obviously have a tool you can pay for if you want to get an assessment done, so you can see your profile and how you work with others, and you can see exactly how much D, I, S, and C you have in you. But, by all means, there's free options out there too.
Heck yeah. And if you want resources, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We'd be more than happy to guide you.
Yep, absolutely.
Deuces.
Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.